4A. Listening and reading. A. Discuss. What do you know about global warming? Look at the picture. Global warming. Have you heard about this before? Global warming is a gradual increase. Gradual means a little by little. The temperature is increasing. Temperature is how hot or how cold the weather is of the Earth's atmosphere, caused by gases produced by factories, some weapons, and other things. What will happen if the Earth's temperature continues to rise? Rise, go up. If this continues to go up, what will happen? I don't know exactly, but I think the Earth will no longer be a suitable place for humans, for people, animals, and plants to live on. Maybe people will die, animals and plants, if the temperature keeps rising. Do you think there are any advantages, positives, good side to global warming? Everything in the world has a bright side and a dark side. And the advantages of global warming may be that some places in our world will get warmer. You know, some countries are very cold. It's difficult to live in these countries. But if it gets warmer, it would be nicer in these countries. Like in Britain, as an example. B. Listen to the dialogue. What advantages to global warming does Josh mention? Listen to the dialogue.
You know, I don't see what the fuss is all about. Personally, I hate cold weather. Global warming means I can go swimming all year round. So for all I care, let it get warmer and warmer.
Are you totally insane, Josh? Haven't you understood a word of what scientists have been saying? If the temperature keeps rising, the polar ice caps will melt. As a result, sea levels will rise, causing massive flooding. And yes, you will be able to go swimming all year round, in your back garden.
Nonsense! So what? Some towns that are miles away from the sea will become beach resorts. Isn't that wonderful? You see, your problem is that you keep focusing on the disadvantages. If you weren't so negative, you would be able to see all the advantages of global warming.
What advantages?
Well, for starters, if the weather gets even warmer, we will save a lot of money on winter clothes. No more hats, boots and heavy coats.
Don't you understand that people who live in southern regions would suffer from extreme heat?
I don't see what the big deal is. If it gets too hot for people living in the south, they will simply go to the north to cool off. I mean, we've been going south for years to get warm.
Yes, but...
Don't interrupt me. Now, if the polar ice caps were smaller in size, it would be easier to dig for oil in the Arctic, which would mean cheaper petrol for us. Think about how much more often we could use our cars. We could go for nice long drives in the countryside.
I give up. Josh, you are a hopeless case.
Now read with me. You know, I don't understand what the fuss is all about. Fuss is when people talk about unimportant things. Personally, in my opinion, I hate cold weather. Weather is the temperature and the other conditions like rain, snow. Global warming means I can go swimming all year round. So for all I care means this doesn't matter to me, and it's usually followed by a hypothetical situation. Let it get warmer. Let the temperature get warmer, hotter. Warm means between hot and cold. And warmer. Are you totally insane? Are you crazy completely? Are you a complete idiot, Josh? Haven't you understood a word of what scientists have been saying? Understood is the past of understand. Scientists, people who work in science like geographers, geologists, biologists, if the temperature keeps rising, continues to rise, go up continuously, the polar ice caps is a thick layer of ice. There are two men right here. Do you see them? They are not standing on mountains or rocks. Can you believe that this whole thick layer is ice? It's huge. Will melt. When it melts, it transforms into water. And when that happens, as a result, what will happen is that sea levels will rise. Levels means how high or how low the sea is. Will rise, causing massive flooding. Water will cover a lot of places. And yes, you will be able to go swimming all year round. But do you know where? In your back garden. You don't have to go to the sea, because actually water will cover everywhere, even your home. Nonsense. What you are saying has no meaning. So what? That is not really important. Some towns that are miles away from the sea, away, not near the sea, will become beach resorts. Beach resorts are places that you go to if you want to spend a holiday by the beach. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? You see, your problem is that you keep focusing, you pay too much attention on the disadvantages, on the downside. You don't pay attention to the positives. If you weren't so negative, negative is the opposite of positive. If you weren't so close-minded, you would be able to see all the advantages of global warming. What advantages? Well, for starters, to begin with, if the weather gets even warmer, even used to emphasize something unexpected. If the weather gets even warmer, we will save a lot of money. When you save money, you don't spend it on winter clothes. No more hats, boots, and heavy coats. This is a heavy coat. Don't you understand that people who live in southern regions would suffer from extreme heat? Look at the world map. Northern regions are right here, like Canada, Britain, and Russia. These countries are in the northern regions. Countries in the southern regions are right here, like in Saudi Arabia and other countries. People who live there would suffer, would experience a bad thing. They would experience extreme heat, very hot weather. I don't see what the big deal is. I don't know why this is important. If it gets too hot for people living in the south, they will simply go to the north. Simply, without complications. It's really easy to cool off, to enjoy the cool weather. I mean, we've been going south for years to get warm. Yes, but don't interrupt me. Please let me continue. Let me finish. Now, if the polar ice caps were smaller in size, it would be easier to dig for oil in the Arctic. Arctic is the North Pole region. When you dig, you try to make a hole in the ground. Oil is where gas comes from, which would mean cheaper petrol. In British English, you say petrol. In American English, you say gas. Petrol station, gas station. Think about how much more often we could use our cars. Think how frequently we can drive. We could go for nice long drives in the countryside, away from the city. I give up. I will stop trying to convince you. Josh, you are a hopeless case. I don't think you will ever change your mind. Now, what advantages to global warming does Josh mention? He mentioned 4 points. 1. He could go swimming all year round, any time of the year. And some towns will become beach resorts. We will save a lot of money on winter clothes, no more hats, boots, and heavy coats. And it would be easier to dig for oil in the Arctic, which would mean cheaper petrol. C. Read the dialogue and answer the questions below. 1. What does Ben mean when he tells Josh that he will be able to swim in his back garden? He meant that a lot of cities will also flood along with the one they both live in. 2. How does Ben see things according to Josh, as stated by Josh? Josh thinks that Ben is a negative person and he only sees disadvantages to everything. 3. How would Josh save money if the Earth's atmosphere rose? Rose is the past of rise. By not having to buy winter clothes. 4. How will people living in the southern regions deal with extreme heat according to Josh? They will have to move to the north. 5. What does Josh say could happen to the price of petrol, of gas, if global warming continued? The price of petrol would go down. Why? It would be cheaper to dig holes for oil in the Arctic. Now look at the expressions highlighted in the dialogue and decide when each of them is used. When something is not important, what expression do you use? If something is not important, so what? It's not important. When someone is not worried, for all I care, I don't care, I'm not worried. When there is no possibility, it's not possible that you could change someone, you are a hopeless case. 4. When someone mentions the first point in a list, for starters, that's the first point. 5. When someone can't do something and stops trying, I give up. E. Discuss. Whose opinion, is it Josh's or Ben's? Of global warming, do you agree with? Do you agree with Josh or Ben, and why? Josh is an idiot. He is crazy. He's gone insane. Of course, I agree with Ben. Josh doesn't realize the danger our world is facing. All he cares about is taking a dip, going swimming in a nice warm sea. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please share it with friends. I'll see you again next time, inshallah. Goodbye.
Workbook, Module 4. You will hear an interview with a marine biologist talking about jellyfish. For questions 1 to 5, choose the best answer, A, B or C.
Welcome to Environment Watch Radio. We have a special guest today, but before I introduce him, let me remind our listeners about the competition. You can win a trip on an incredible ecotourism holiday to Peru if you answer the following question correctly. The melting of the Arctic glaciers is threatening the home of which of the following animals? Is it A, the tiger, B, the penguin, or C, the polar bear? If you know the correct answer, call 0088 4433 or text message us at 1100 with your mobile phone and you could be a winner. The prize includes tickets for 2 to Peru. You'll get to stay at a beautiful nature reserve where you'll have the chance to observe amazing wildlife and explore scenic landscapes. Now, for the past 2 weeks, we have been running the Focus on Nature series. I want to welcome our special guest today, Alexandra Mitchell, a marine biologist who is here to talk to us about jellyfish.
Thank you.
Now, Alex, all I know about jellyfish is that they can give me a nasty sting. In fact, I was stung once by a jellyfish while on holiday in the Mediterranean.
That's unfortunate. You're right, a jellyfish sting can give you a bad rash or can actually make you very sick. You have to be careful with jellyfish. I always wear protective gloves when I study them. They use their stinging cells to stun their food or protect themselves from predators.
I believe there has been an alarming increase in the number of jellyfish found in certain places.
Yes, that is correct. Huge numbers of jellyfish have been turning up in unexpected places. They clog water pipes, and they also cause problems for fishermen because the jellyfish get caught up in their nets. A particularly troublesome jellyfish is the giant jellyfish. It is usually found in waters near Japan and China. It can be up to 2 meters in length, and it can weigh as much as a bear. Recently, there have been clusters or blooms of these jellyfish found in certain places. When this happens with any creature, it usually means that some kind of change has happened to the environment.
How long has this phenomenon been going on for?
Well, there were blooms in jellyfish in Japanese waters in 2002, 2003 and 2004. Japanese scientists did research to find out what was causing the increase in jellyfish. They collected jellyfish eggs and exposed them to different water temperatures. The scientists discovered that when water suddenly became warmer, the jellyfish grew more quickly.
That is very interesting. So could it actually be changes in the environment that are causing this increase in jellyfish?
It's possible. There is a warm current of water which passes through the sea near China, Japan and Korea. This warm current has become stronger in recent years. Some scientists believe warm water is the clue to why we've seen an explosion in jellyfish populations. However, it is not just jellyfish that are affected by warm water. There are other creatures and plants living in the sea which will be affected. As well as eating some fish, jellyfish eat small plants. Therefore, if the number of plants in the sea increases, so will the jellyfish.
So should we be worried about these changes?
Well, jellyfish are important creatures in the sea. They are a source of food for turtles and other fish. They are also eaten by humans. I think we need to find out exactly what is causing the changes in jellyfish populations, because it could tell us more about the health of the Earth's oceans.